And I think we're ready to go. We're ready to go, Saxon.
I'm ready. If you're ready, let's do this thing.
Hello and welcome to this week's Following the Nerd Show. As always, I'm your host, Mark. And he's far away, but always in my heart, Mr. Steve McCullough, vote Saxon 07. Hello, sir. How are you?
What happened to you? You used to be cynical and dull like the rest of us. Far away, but still in my heart.
I'm trying not to be. Okay,
Oh.
look, it's a big show. We missed last week's show. That was my fault. I was doing some decorating and it just got ahead of me. And the next thing, everything just went to hell. On this week's show, we're going to be looking at Kathleen Kennedy's legacy in Star Wars, and could Disney be planning to erase it from the record? We're also going to be, we're quite excited to announce that Tron 3 is finally happening after all these years. Are DC planning on doing a Justice League reboot on the big screen? Keanu Reeves back as John Constantine. And we have spoiler news, but it came from the director, so it's not our fault, about the future of Black Widow in the MCU. And we'll also have Mr. Paul McLaughlin later on in the show with the comic book roundup. So that's all ahead of you for the next couple hours. So get in contact with us on the comments. Let us know what you think. As we're talking, give us your comments. We always love to hear those. Follow us on all these big stories and more. Get it on followingthenerd.com. Saxon, what is the crack?
Not too much. You've done some painting and decorating this week, as have I. Did my entire bedroom out, which was, up until last Saturday, the most disgusting room in my house. Honestly, it was awful. I haven't touched it in months and years, in decades. It was just awful. I mean, I don't even know where to begin, but basically, RAM-rated B&Q, fresh coat of paint, got it all set up, got a TV bracket mounted to the wall now, so I'm officially living in the 21st century.
I saw your pictures, it looks nice, and I just thought to myself, oh, he's just going to do a lot of lying in bed watching TV. And look, in these troubling times, what else would you do?
Well, man, it's my favourite hobby. Lie in bed, stuff my face, watch TV. So, may as well make that as easy as possible, because it's such a demanding task. You don't understand. I bought one of those Roku boxes as well, so I've got everything now hooked up to that TV, that beautiful 4K 29-inch screen, I think, or is it 49-inch? I don't know. I don't like to compare sizes whenever it comes to television, but basically that's the size of the one that's behind your head right now. It's now mounted to my wall, and it's adjustable as well, so I can bring it out, slide it across, I can lie in bed. It's essentially like something you would see in a hospital bed, where like you can just bring it straight across in front of you and just binge everything. Amazon Prime, Netflix, Disney Plus, you name it, I'm streaming it while lying in the comfort of my lovely bed. Lockdown!
I've lost you. Are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Sorry, I got an audio black right there. Do you know what we've been doing? We finished Angel and Buffy because we've been doing a big family rewatch of the Angel and Buffy.
Nice.
And because of lockdown and everything, we sort of sped through that. We got that all finished last week. And we started watching Quantum Leap.
No way! What a coinky dink! Because I was looking into it. I was actually going to start rewatching it. I watched the first episode. They've got the terrible futuristic car, and they see the accident in the distance. Yeah, I sat down and watched that the other night.
Yeah, it's so good. We're about 4 or 5 episodes into the first season, and it is the TV equivalent of a big warm hug.
Isn't it though?
It's so good. And you know what? I said this to my wife as we were watching it the other night. We were watching it with the kids. Never underestimate the power of an amazing theme tune.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, like, just the intro as well. It hooks you. It's got that wonderful hook about it that I love.
And
yeah, you were saying?
Dean Stockwell and Scott Bakula as Sam and Al. The chemistry between those guys is just, it's so good. And it's just, the two of them are such lovable Scott Bakula, we were watching the episode tonight. I can't remember what it was called, the one where he was the boxer.
Yeah.
And he had to throw the game, and he was going to put the money towards the nurse's home. And Scott Bakula he must be one of the most earnest people on TV. You just want to believe everything he tells you. He's just so nice.
See, the really weird thing about Scott Bakula to me is he always reminds me of Face Man from A-Team. Like he's got that look about him, but it's like I would have loved it had they got Dirk Benedict and himself together and made some sort of TV show where they were twin brothers, but one was a really nice guy and one was a horrible guy. I think that would have worked so well, but man, it's been a good long time now since I last watched Quantum Leap. I think you're talking 90s, I want to say.
Yeah, was the last time I watched you wouldn't be far off with that.
Quantum Leap. So probably when it was still being broadcast, because I know it started around about 89 or so, and then moved on to the 90s. But yeah, it's been a fair minute or two since I watched Quantum Leap.
Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock, BBC Two. Would not have missed it for life nor money.
Do you know what? That sounds about right. Because that sounds like my entire 90s just consisted of BBC Two content. That's why I'm into things like Simpsons and Robot Wars and Buffy and Farscape and all that good stuff. Because it was basically BBC Two in the evening times. That's the place. Don't go anywhere else. You don't need to go anywhere else. BBC Two had you covered.
And you know, as another little aside, we had myself and the kids were in the house today for a couple of hours, time to ourselves, and we sat and watched Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. And I mean, obviously I've seen it before numerous times. That is probably Steven Spielberg's most underrated masterpiece.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, it genuinely feels like one of the most real-world Spielberg movies ever made, if that makes sense. Because with the rest of them, they have this certain Spielbergian tone, for lack of a better term. And with this one, it really felt, because obviously War of the Worlds, whenever it came out, it was 2005, where we're living in a post 9/11 world, whenever the attacks were quite fresh in everyone's minds, and everything had to have that dark and gritty and serious vibe to it. And this was Spielberg's approach to it, and I think he mastered it perfectly. The scene whenever the tripods are first attacking and vanishing people, it hits you because it's so visceral in its way, and only in a way that I think a director like Spielberg can do. I love watching Spielberg direct. So if you see any behind the scenes, the way he interacts with the actors, the way that he blocks out his shots, there's something otherworldly about it, is all I can say. And that's how you know you're watching a Spielberg movie, because he brings that certain quality to it. And especially whenever he applies that to this grounded real-world setting of what would it be like if aliens invaded. War of the Worlds is the result, and it's harrowing in places.
I mean, because I was watching it with the kids, as I said, and my wee one, she was just 11 the other day, and there's a few bits in it. As I was watching it, because it's a few years since I watched it, and as I was watching it, you know the bit, remember the bodies are floating down the river?
Oh God, yeah.
And I just kind of remembered a second before it happened, and it's oh my God, it's such a horror. And the movie never lets up. Once the lightning storm starts, it just does not let up until the very end. Whenever he hugs when he hugs his son at the door, it doesn't stop. It's breathless. It's really scary. It's really taut. Everything about it's masterful.
It is, yeah. I mean, like as I was saying before, like with Spielberg, you can put his movies into different categories. Like War of the Worlds doesn't belong anywhere near, say, the likes of Indiana Jones or Close Encounters or anything like that. It belongs in the same vein as Saving Private Ryan, because it is just haunting. And Saving Private Ryan's another one that has never left my brain. I still get night terrors about things in that movie occasionally, and I would easily put War of the Worlds in that bracket.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan, we went to see it when it came out in the cinema, and I thought it was amazing, an incredible movie. I think I've said this to you before, but I vowed never to watch it again.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I'm pretty much the same, because I think I caught it on TV, and the scene whenever, like, not to spoil it to anyone that's never seen it before, but the scene with the knife, no, never again. Mm-hmm. I saw it, I watched it, I thought it was a spectacular movie. I never need to see that again.
Yeah, and there's moments of just, you know, obviously because it's war and it's meant to represent that, but there's moments of uber violence in that movie that they just come out of nowhere and just explode on the screen, and it's just over, and you're just sitting there pale faced thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, it's an incredible movie. But yeah, so War of the Worlds, if you haven't watched War of the Worlds recently, I really advise you go back and watch it, because I've watched it 2 or 3 times over the last few years, and every time I watch it, it's better and better.
Yeah, well,
it's such a good movie.
That's the genius of Spielberg, really. Where, like, every time you watch one of his movies, you have to go back and rewatch it, and you get a different experience every time, and you always end up enjoying it for completely new reasons.
Yeah, no, it really is such a good movie. Okay, right, let's get on to we'll leave the bigger news for now. We'll get into some of the other stories. Anybody that was watching, as I said, we didn't do a show last week. The week before there was the big reveal that there was a Back to the Future and Transformers crossover coming. Saxon, do you remember that?
Well, how could I forget? I mean, it's two of my all-time favorite franchises merged together into one at long last.
Yeah, and we now have images. I don't know if you have an image of that, but it has now been revealed that yes, we are going to get a 4-issue IDW comic book, and we are getting a DeLorean Transformer.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, I've seen pictures of the Transformer close up. It oddly works. It's the same thing with the Tron from the Ghostbusters Transformers crossover. There's something about it that makes me go, why has this never been a thing before? Because this looks like a toy that was released in the 80s. Like, I love the fact that he's got the flux capacitor on his chest. I think that's just such a great idea.
Now, there was some worry online because in the States it's being released, I think it's August or September time, and it's going to be a Walmart exclusive. The pre-orders went up for it a few days ago, and it literally sold out in seconds. There's 1,985 of them, 1985. But I've actually been talking to a guy I know that owns one of the main sort of comic collector shops and comic and toy collector shops in England, and he has informed me, as I suspected, that the release in October will be exactly the same. The packaging might be slightly different, and it won't be numbered, and that's the only difference. So don't be panicking. Come October, they will be pretty easy to get.
Excellent. Well, at least that's a small worry just wiped out of my mind there.
It's same here, and thankfully I've got to the age now where I'm not like, I need the one with the number on it.
No.
You know, I don't need that one anymore.
Yeah, I kind of had to let that go myself as well. Like whenever I heard that the real Ghostbusters figures were getting released, I was like, I have to have these mint in box, and it just I got to the stage where I went, do you know what? If I get them, I get them. If I don't, I don't. And lo and behold, I got them. You know, so it wasn't worth all that. Do you know that fanboy panic that you feel where it's like, everyone else is getting these, so I have to get these? And then to make things even worse, I'm a toy reviewer, so I have to get them before anyone else gets them, otherwise other people make videos, and then you don't get the views, and blah, 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 blah. So I've just sort of had to let that die and go, look, is it something that I need? Do I need this in my collection room? Do I want this for reasons beyond just being a collector? And that's just the direction I've had to go down. But yes, this Back to the Future Transformers DeLorean is a must. I gotta get this. And
I am pretty confident that it's going to pick up at the end of the Transformers Ghostbusters crossover or comic books. I think it'll pick up because remember at the end of it, Tron went off. I think what's going to happen is that the Decepticons are going to be trying to get their hands on that time machine.
Oh God! Yes, please.
So I think that's what's going to be. Speaking of Ghostbusters, big news, something that we really hoped that we would hear. It has been revealed that in the new movie Ghostbusters Afterlife, the original Ghostbusters, or the three that are left, will be suiting up, which is really, really exciting.
Wonderful news indeed. I mean, this goes all the way back to Bill Murray appearing at the Scream Awards back 10 years ago now, a decade ago, where he looked fantastic in his Ghostbusters getup.
Yes.
I know he made that flippant line about, I didn't have anything else to wear, it was laundry day, that whole thing. But honestly, I actually think, and I think it was Red Letter Media that said this, but to see the Ghostbusters old and a little bit broken and a little bit overweight and their hair's falling out, there's just something that works about that whenever it comes to Ghostbusters. Just these three old guys. It's like, what's that movie with Clint Eastwood in it where they go to space?
Oh,
Space Cowboys. It's a little bit like that. It's like it's the originals. It's the OGs back in the saddle, and there's just something I don't know. I can't quite put the words to it, but it'll be fantastic to see them wearing the same gear. They're old, ragged, they can't be bothered, the proton packs are a little bit too heavy for them, but they're there. You know, that's basically all you need. The only cherry that would just put right on the top of the cake would have been had Hal Ramis been with us to partake in that, but unfortunately not.
Well, the rumor comes from Ernie Hudson, who has, in an interview, said, sometimes I run into Sigourney Weaver when I'm in New York and I see Bill Murray. Just over the years, I've had contact with all of them. But somehow we're back together. We're wearing the jumpsuits. It's a production. It was great. Jumpsuits. It's a new production. It was great. It was very moving. It was wonderful. And the new cast is incredible. So there you have it, back in the jumpsuits. Yeah, I mean... How long have we waited to see this?
Oh, what, 31 years?
Yeah.
It's been a long, long time.
At least. And we just have to wait a bit longer now because it's been put back to March this year.
Damn COVID!
I know. It'd have been out by now, wouldn't it? Was it this week?
This Friday, tomorrow. It would have been out tomorrow.
Oh no! No.
Yeah, July 10th.
And the upside of it is that Ghostbusters, the original movie, actually claimed the #1 spot in the US box office over the 4th of July weekend.
Yes, indeed it did, because of all the drive-in theatres that were playing it and that sort of thing. Because, of course, social distancing is a must. Yeah, and it's fantastic to see a movie that I grew up loving, and not a lot of people around me knew it or liked it or chastised me even for watching it. It's just so brilliant to see that the movie still has that universal appeal to it all these years later.
Yeah. I know, it's incredible, and I think it also raises, we talked about this on, I think, the first show in this new series. We talked about how we had fears that maybe there wouldn't be the audience to make Afterlife the success that it needed to be, because we had talked about our exclusive where it had been revealed that Netflix is possibly looking at a Ghostbusters live action series, and it all depends on how well Afterlife does and everything else. But I think it's proved that Ghostbusters definitely still has the audience out there.
Oh, without a doubt. I hope that that's still the case whenever it rolls around in March next year, because it's one thing to turn around and say, not to be a Debbie Downer here, not to be a Walter Peck in this moment, but I will need to see your containment unit. Easy now. Mainly because, it's the original, everyone knows what they're in for, so they'll go and watch it. Or people who have never seen it before will get this rare opportunity to see it at a drive-thru, and they go, okay, well, I've heard so much about this movie, and so many people love it, and there was that whole drama back in 2016 about them rebooting it, so it must be special. I'll go check it out. I've nothing better to do. The country is, nay, the world is in lockdown. I may as well go check this movie out. The differences with Afterlife is people may lump it into the same boat as 2016, where they're like, well, I don't want to see an old Bill Murray try to cart a proton pack around. I don't want to see a bunch of kids with proton guns and traps driving a rusty old Ecto-1, and that sort of thing. That is my primary worry here. Because I've seen that, and I've seen a lot of the fans, like, not a lot of the fans, but you know what I mean, coming out and saying, oh, well, I don't want to see this. It's like, well, what else do you expect? So as long as we can keep the infighting to a minimum and let people enjoy the things that they want to enjoy, the world will be a happier place. And Afterlife will do well. And we get all the sequels, and they'll be brilliant.
And it will be brilliant. Infighting in one of the modern fandoms? How dare you, sir?
I know! Shocking, isn't it? I should be taken out to the streets and flogged within an inch of my life for suggesting such a thing.
Right, talking about fandoms, big news last night. I don't know if you've been following this, Saxon, because I know, like myself, you've kind of tuned out of the Arrowverse shenanigans more or less over the last while.
I'll tune in for the likes of like the big crossover events and that sort of thing, but for the most part, I'm just kind of like, you're kind of hitting me over the head a wee bit too much here with the sheer amount of content, because you've got like Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman. Like, it's too much to keep up with. Just chill. Just relax. I know. There's too many shows.
Well, basically what happened was Ruby Rose, who played Kate Kane, Batwoman, in the series, stepped down at the end of season 1. I'm sure you know this.
We reported it, so yeah.
Yeah, so there was some confusion over what happened. Was she left? Was she asked to leave? Whatever else. But basically after she left, it was announced that they wouldn't be recasting the character, but rather they'd be creating a new character called Ryan Wilder, which, I gotta be honest, when I read first, I was like, they're going to replace her with a guy? But obviously in this context, Ryan is, because being from Ireland, Ryan is pretty much a guy's name over here.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how wonderfully ahead of the curve would that be? Batwoman is played by a man.
Yeah. So So the description was Ryan Wilder is a female in her mid to late 20s and the complete opposite of Kate Kane. She's a likable, messy, little goofy, and untamed. But last night they announced that actress, I hope I pronounced this right, Javicia Leslie is going to be playing her. And an absolutely beautiful actress she is. I gotta be honest, I don't know who she is. She's in a show called God Friended Me. Is that it's lost on me? Is it did anything ring any bells with you?
But yeah, it's lost on me too. But isn't that a good thing though? I'd rather see unknowns come
Yeah,
up and play these big roles as opposed to, oh, it's someone that we suspected would play it. Oh, wonderful.
yeah,
So, and it's nice to get that fresh face in there and get a unique
yeah.
perspective on the character. And from what they're describing her to be, she sounds a lot like Catwoman before she became Catwoman in Batman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's actually quite
lovable,
true.
nice, a little clumsy in places. Yeah, so you know what? Fair
Yeah,
enough. And I know a lot of people were kind of rubbed the wrong way with Ruby Rose because she was very aggressive in her mindset. She was very sort of,
mhm.
oh well, I don't need Bruce to be Batman. I can be Batwoman. I'm just going to steal all his tech and do it myself. Screw this. And I know a lot of people
Yeah,
kind of took that as, oh, the feminazis, oh this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah. And it wasn't. It was just who Kate Kane was as a character. But
it was.
on top of that, I don't think that sort of character belongs in the Arrowverse. I think they have to have that degree of wackiness to them because, like, even if you look at the harder edge characters, like Oliver Queen, he still had that soap opera chewing the scenery thing about him, and
Yeah.
Ruby Rose didn't have that. Ruby Rose was very straight down the barrel. So I don't think she really fit into this world. Whereas this new version, this new iteration of Batwoman, seems to be keeping more in the light, fluffy tone that the Arrowverse seems to be going for.
Yeah, and I actually really like Ruby Rose. I had my issues with the Batwoman TV series as a big fan of Batman and the continuity and everything else. I had big issues with it, but Ruby Rose wasn't one of my issues. I really, really liked her in the role, and when she was introduced in I think it was it Elseworlds she was introduced in the crossover event.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was phenomenal in that. And the episodes that I've watched of Batwoman, she's really, really good in that as well. But I get the feeling that this new actress is going to take the whole show. It's going to give it, as you say, a whole different feel, a whole different tone. Although I am, from what I can make out, the disappearance of Kate Kane is going to be part of the story. So whether
Right.
that means she'll come back at some point or whatever else, but apparently, she's going to be missing. It's going to be addressed just as Batman has gone missing in that universe. She's going to go missing, and it is going to be part of the story. I don't know what the end game of that will be, if they'll do it for a season or two and then just forget to. Okay, stop talking about it now. They've forgotten about it.
Yeah, I'm pressing
Um,
X for down on that one.
yeah. But yeah, so that's the news. So we have a new Batwoman. No longer Kate Kane. Now it's Ryan Wild.
That
So
is
yeah, so
absolutely
she makes her
wild.
debut. In absolutely wild.
Yeah, making her
Yeah.
debut in January. Happy days. Be good to see.
Yep. So obviously it would have debuted a bit sooner than that, but with the whole COVID-19 thing and everything else, that has been pushed back. Right. What do you think? Will we go over to Paul and see what's happening in the comic book news for a minute?
Hey, do you know what? Let's go over to Paul and see what's going on with the comic book news.
Shall we?
We're right back after this, folks. Keep her tuned.
Welcome back to my weekly comic roundup. A little bit different this week as none of the two big publishers, Marvel or DC, have released any new titles. I'm just going to review the one title. Now, it was released last week and it is DC's Death Metal. This is a follow-up from the DC Metal event that happened a few years ago. It's by the same creative team as Scott Snyder and Craig Capello, and what they've told us is this is hopefully going to sort out DC's community and the universe and put it back on track again. Because God knows it's been all over the place recently. So, this event carries on from where to begin. Now, I think it all started really back when Capello and Snyder took over Batman when the New 52 first came out so many years ago. And then they went on to do Justice League. Now, they've been laying the seeds all along for this event. So they have. They went on the metal first, which was mainly a kind of Batman event. Now, they have said this Death Metal event is mainly a Wonder Woman event. Interesting. So, they're hoping to sort all of it out. And they have said this is a 7-issue series and everything since Infinity and Crisis on Infinity Earths in the 80s, everything is going to be touched upon. So any Infinity thing that's happened in the last few years is going to be touched upon. Even so far as the Doomsday Clock, which is only just finished after 2 years, I think. So, but there's so many comics leading up to this, you need to go on and look them up, because I could be here all night and the boys and never get to do the show if I started to talk. But a few of them straight away. The Justice League, the Justice Doom War. There's a big lead up to it. And also Heroes in Crisis, which was a terrible series, but it leads in the Flash Forward, which leads into this. There's also a few one-shots, Tales from the Dark Multiverse. They're just a good read. They mightn't actually kick on this, but they will tell you some of the characters in it. Then that led on to a whole year of the villain storyline, which was hit and miss. That headed on to Hell Arisen. So there's quite a lot of comics and even touched upon, like the Superman Batman comic. Issues 1 to 6 is kind of important, and they had a few one shots. So the reading to build up this, there's quite a lot of comics. So it is, but it's from metal the whole way up, and if they can do what they said they're going to do and sort out the community, it would be great. So that's what they plan to do with it. It all sounds good. It does. Now, the story itself. It is in Community. When you open up the page and you read a few pages in, you don't think it is. But trust me, this is Community. They're on a hell-forsaken Earth, which the Batman Who Laughs seems to be run. Of course, Perpetua, which is the evil goddess, she's behind it too. Now, she's trying to destroy all 52 universes that exist in the DC universe. And she's got it down to 8. There's only 8 left. So this is Community, and when you see Wonder Woman and Batman in the story at the start, it is the Wonder Woman and Batman that we know. How they got there will probably be explained in the later issues. But it is off the wall fun. It is a great comic. For example, Batman's using a Black Lantern ring to summon an army of dead. Another Batman in this is a Batman T-Rex, where Bruce Wayne has downloaded his subconsciousness into the T-Rex that you see in the Batcave. That's how crazy this book has started, and it's only going to get crazier. So, hopefully, it'll tie everything up in the DC universe and get the community working again. I'm not the biggest DC fan, but I am hoping it does. I'm a Marvel fan, but I am hoping this does sort out the DC universe once and for all. So hopefully, if DC can do it, Marvel can follow it then. That's the whole idea. So that's my review. Get on it now, but trust me, look up what you need to read before you start reading it. There's a hell of a lot of reading to catch up on. You may be saving buying the trade paperbacks, I don't know, but look it up first. So that's my review. Good start. Art's good, story's good. Looking forward to all of the 7 issues. So on the next week, thank you. And one last thing, Mark, is that enough DC for you? Cheers.
Yes, Paul, that was enough DC. He paused on the homework.
Paul has done the homework.
A lot of Justice League and Batman. A lot of Justice League and Batman happened.
I mean, there was more DC comics there than there was of Paul. So
yeah, and a wee TARDIS there as well. I think he's keeping you sweet.
Oh
too.
God, no! If you want to keep me sweet, get some Robot Wars robots in there. Don't show me Doctor Who.
So yeah, no, I was just saying to you. So I'm using this high stool for this, and swear to God, it's got my arse broke. I'm gonna have to get like a nice soft bar stool or something for this, because this is gonna cripple.
Well,
me.
do you know what? Any way that you can get a soft stool, always go for that, because there is nothing worse than a hard stool.
Yeah. Oh my God, it sounds like a line out of Bad Santa. Over in the chats, James Perkins. Sorry, I was a bit. We were a bit remiss there. James, how are you, sir? 8-Bit Turtle pointed out that the Quantum Leap episode we were talking about is called The Right Hand of God.
Thanks for that one.
Doctor is Prime. You haven't missed much. You know what we're like. We were talking about the Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters movies, that the original team are going to suit up in it. And he says he sees Skyfire, who's sitting over here. Yes, he does. Bought this a couple of weeks ago. Oh my god, absolutely love this figure. It's a beast too.
It looks like a beast. It looks absolutely gigantic. It's towering over your Ecto 1A there.
Yeah, it's class. I have to point out too, do you remember, Saxon, the last show we were talking about Evan Dorkin is coming back to write a comic book prequel to Bill and Ted.
Face the Music. Yeah.
And I was saying about how big a fan I was of Evan Dorkin's comic book, Bill and Ted comic book back in the 90s. I do know when something, you know what this is like, Saxon, I know you feel the pain of this, when something gets into your head and you're like, I need to go onto Amazon or eBay and I need to find out if I can get this again.
Yep.
And the Boom Studios had this beautiful hardback edition of it, which, look at this, man. Look at this. Look at this. Beautiful. Hardback. Woo. So yeah, so I got that, and it's absolutely class. Started reading it the other day. Evan Dorkin is an absolute genius. Yeah, so there's a little bit of continuity for you. And I picked up this Ghostbusters book as well. The story so far, or the inside story. I don't know if you picked it up. Have you seen this yet? No.
That's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah, it came out there a couple weeks ago. It's still got the cellophane wrap on it. Haven't even opened it.
Wonderful. It's a collector's item. Keep it that way.
Keep it that way, yeah. But the Evan Dorkin thing, if you're a Bill and Ted fan and you're the 90s passed you by in a bit of a blur, pick this up. Evan Dorkin's Bill and Ted, absolutely class. Right, this was big news, Saxon. I don't know about you. This is something that we don't talk about an awful lot. Are you a Tron fan?
Am I a Tron fan? Come on! The amount of times you and I have discussed Tron Legacy. Of course.
I know, I'm only joking. So you're a Tron fan. So it looks like we're finally going to get the third Tron movie.
Thank you, nerd god above. Because I gotta tell you, whenever they broke the news that they were going to be rebooting Tron instead of making a Tron 3, a little piece of me died. Because I love Tron Legacy so much. I watched it again recently. I think I watched it over Christmas. So not that recently, but it feels recently. I don't know. But either way, it's one of those movies that, much like yourself with the likes of War of the Worlds and that sort of thing, I'll revisit it every once in a while and still get something new out of it. I mean, it's stellar filmmaking from start to finish. I love the cinematography, especially like a lot of people look at Tron and go, "Oh, it all takes place in a video game, so it's all CGI." Yeah, that's one aspect of it. The CGI looks beautiful, don't get me wrong, and this is a movie that came out a decade ago, lest we forget. The cinematography in the real world is gorgeous. I mean, it is just shot in such a glorious way, and Joseph Kosinski, who was the director of Tron Legacy, give that man some prestige movies, will you? That guy needs to be an A-list director. And on top of that too, Tron Legacy, I think, is a movie that it should not be anywhere near as good as it was. Just all the pieces fit together beautifully. The casting, I think it was spectacular. The music by Daft Punk is still one of my all-time favourite movie soundtracks. The action sequences, the drama, everything about it. I can't fault that movie. Michael Sheen eating every single piece of scenery that he can find. You can't go wrong with this movie at all. I mean, where it ultimately falls is the de-aging face effects for Jeff Bridges. Mm-hmm. But if you can look past that, because obviously, as to quote our old friend George Lucas, CGI is just a means of telling a story. So basically it's there to represent and go, well, he's digital, he doesn't look like proper Jeff Bridges and that sort of thing. But apart from that, spectacular movie. It's one that I would still recommend to this day.
Yeah, it's pure uncanny valley, which is a pity because it's you can tell it's there. It just doesn't have the soul. But listen, talking about Joseph Kosinski, have you seen Oblivion?
I have indeed. Yes, I think that was spectacular as well.
An incredible movie, and I think he directed Top Gun Maverick, which is coming out. I think is it still coming out this year, or maybe it's been pushed back.
Probably pushed back, but I haven't heard anything.
And man, whenever I saw Oblivion, I was like, I just give that guy Star Wars.
Yeah, please. I'd love to see him direct a Star Wars story type movie along the lines of Rogue One.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, the news is in a new interview with the Light the Fuse podcast with Mitchell Lieb, who's the president of music and soundtracks at Disney, he has revealed that they're talking to Daft Punk to come back to score the new movie, which a few years ago was called Tron Legacy, or called Tron Ascension. Yeah. So whether or not it's still called that, we don't know. He said that they've got a really, really good script, but the first thing that they want is Daft Punk back for the soundtrack. So yes, please. Now, going on what we had, he also confirmed that they want Kosinski back to direct this one.
Yes, please.
And although he doesn't confirm it, recently we had heard that the original plan was to have Jared Leto come back or come into this one as the main villain, and he was going to play a villain called Ares, who's the god of war.
Yes, for all you Wonder Woman fans out there.
Of course. So, to all intents and purposes, at the minute it looks like we're going to be getting Tron 3, we're going to be getting Daft Punk back with Joseph Kosinski directing, possibly Jared Leto starring, and this is really, really good news. There's a lot of hate for Jared Leto. I don't get it. I mean, anybody that's watched, I liked him as Joker. Anybody that's watched Dallas Buyers Club or
Psycho.
Fight Club or American Psycho, the guy has serious range. Blade Runner 2049. I really like him. I don't understand the pure dislike.
I think it probably stems from 30 Seconds to Mars. But aside from that, I don't understand the hate either. I mean, again, it's one of those things where a lot of people aren't doing this anymore, where it's the separate the art from the artist type thing. So, regardless of how you feel about Jared Leto as a person, you can't deny the man has got some serious acting chops on him. Although, having said that, it's great that they're getting Jared Leto to be a part of Tron 3. Can we please pay off the Cillian Murphy cameo from Tron Legacy?
Yes. Because, of course, Cillian Murphy was set up to be the big bad as well, wasn't he? He was set up.
Because he's...
Because I remember when I saw it in the cinema, I was like, hold on, is that Cillian Murphy?
It is Cillian Murphy, yeah. What the hell? Why is he in this? For like all of 2 seconds.
So hopefully they'll get him back.
Because he's...
well, we also know...
What was the bad guy's name from the first Tron movie? Derringer, was it? I forget his name. Derringer? Yeah, because that's who he is. He's that guy's son. So I think what they were trying to do was set up for Tron 3 was almost his side of the story and what he's been up to and that sort of thing. And does he find a way into Tron, into that video game style world? So I hope they pay that off in some way, shape or form, and they haven't recast him as Jared Leto or something like that, you know?
Yeah, no, I think Jared Leto's a separate character. And the thing about it is, we learned a few weeks ago that there was actually a TV series supposed to be coming to Disney Plus, a live action series, and it was shot down before it happened. And don't forget as well, if you're a Tron fan and if you haven't seen it, there's the Tron Uprising cartoon series, animated series, which is absolutely amazing. It's so good. It's so good. And unfortunately, it was actually cancelled because at the time they had a plan for Tron 3 and it apparently kind of overlapped where they were planning on going with it.
Yeah. I mean, like,
which is another classic case of
I'll still
one hand not knowing what the other.
I'll still never forgive Edge of, or yeah, it wasn't Edge of Tomorrow. Tomorrowland. I'll still never forgive Tomorrowland for that because they made Tomorrowland and it bombed, and that made Disney go, okay, so we can't make Tron 3 for some reason. I'll never forgive Tomorrowland.
So let's just remake all our popular movies. Let's do that.
Money in the bank.
We'll take all our creativity and just throw it in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, and then they went down this whole route of saying, we're going to reboot Tron. It's like, don't, stop it. We're past this now. Stop rebooting things. Make sequels. Learn from Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters learned it the hard way. Don't reboot, do a sequel. It's out in the same universe. That way you're appeasing the fans, and if you tell a decent enough story, you're getting new fans in the process. So there you go. Pat on the head. Now shut up and go in the corner and eat your biscuits.
Jack Turner, sorry, a bit late to the party. No hassle, Jack. How you doing? Hope all is well in the world. Let's see, what else? What other news have we got? Well, you know what? Speaking about Jared Leto, it seems that Margot Robbie's Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of One Harley Quinn sequel is completely dead in the water.
Did it need a sequel?
Did it need a first one?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, for what it was, I enjoyed Birds of Prey, but it felt a little bit superfluous, didn't it?
It did. It felt like a filler episode in a TV series that you've been watching.
Didn't it, though? It really felt like, again, like I've used this analogy several times now for certain movies in the last little while. It feels like 3 or 4 episodes of a TV show that have been cut together and brought out as a movie.
That's exactly what it feels
It's like a pilot episode. You know the way in the pilot episode for a TV show, they always make like one big extended episode that's a two-parter?
Yeah.
That's exactly what this felt like.
Like, I didn't hate it by any means, and I know you didn't either, because we have discussed this to extent ourselves. I didn't hate it.
No, I didn't hate it.
I just felt it didn't bring anything. You know, for a movie that gave us Black Mask and gave us the Birds of Prey, that gave us Huntress and Rena Montoya, and you know, for a movie that gave us Black Canary, it just felt so like
what's
okay.
the female version of what's the female version of? It was like it had its balls cut off.
Neutered? I don't know.
It was like it had a hysterectomy.
I'm not. Oh god.
You know, like,
I'm not googling.
But like, isn't that what it felt like? It just felt like there was no gravitas to it, no stakes to it. It just felt like tra-la-la-la wacky adventure. Because like, even with Black Mask, who is an absolute evil bastard in the comic books, he's just treated it like Ewan McGregor just plays him as this over-exaggerated mob boss. Like even Victor Zsasz as well, the exact same thing. Yeah, they got the look. Sorry?
I was just going to say, I can't forgive them for what they did to Victor Zsasz, because I was there in the 90s when Norm Breyfogle brought him into the comics, and he was such a great character. And, you know, I don't have a problem before anybody goes, oh, you know, I understand that he was supposed to have sort of like a gay relationship with Black Mask. Don't have a problem with any of that. They just completely neutered Victor Zsasz. He, you know, in the comics, he's, you know, he can influence what people see, and he kills people. He's not this kind of trying to control the mob boss. He's just a murdering bastard.
Yeah.
And it just, to me, it was gone. And I loved Huntress. I loved Black Canary. I really liked everybody. I thought Ewan McGregor's Black Mask was really cool. I liked everybody in it. It just, you know when all the ingredients are right, but the movie it's just a really bland meal.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. It's so empty in its places. And I think it's because a lot of it was cut down. And ultimately, I would sum it up by saying either shit or get off the pot. Do it or don't do it. Don't namby-pamby around with it.
Yeah, and we just talked about Jared Leto there, and I mean, in this movie, the disrespect was real, and the disrespect was so real in this movie for Jared Leto's Joker, and you know, to not even have him played by another actor, to have him as a cartoon at the start that didn't even resemble his incarnation of the Joker, and then, you know, it just was really weird. Like, you can't deny that this is the same universe. Why could they not just have brought Jared Leto back for a cameo, or use some footage that wasn't used, and God knows there's enough of that in Suicide Squad, or something.
As David Ayer said, there's enough Joker footage on the floor to make an entirely new movie out of it.
To make a new movie, yeah. And this has me wondering if this movie, because I know there was a lot of talk that there was going to be a sequel to this, and you know, there's a lot of people saying, oh, it did make money when you take in sale. It didn't make money. It tanked. It didn't make money. The fact that they were even talking about making money this blew my mind a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, Harley Quinn's still a really popular character. They should have taken the writers in from the DC Universe animated series and have them write this, rather than just one crude throwaway line at the very, very end of the movie that nodded to that. Because the Harley Quinn animated series is incredible. The way it handles the relationship with Poison Ivy and the Joker, everything about it is just perfect. So, you know, this isn't I don't like Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's still a big part of it. I'm wondering if this signifies, when you're getting the Snyder cut, I'm hearing that the Ayer cut is real. I'm hearing that Ben Affleck may be coming back for a standalone adventure on HBO Max.
Well, I mean, Mark, let's be honest, the Ayer cut, of course it's real. Because that's the original cut that he put together before the studio manhandled it off of him and turned it into a music video for 12-year-olds.
Sorry, I meant to say is coming. Sorry, I meant to say we are going to get it. But I'm just wondering if we're hearing all this, and we're going to talk later on, because some more DC news as well coming up on the show. I'm just wondering if this is Warner Brothers and DC and AT&T kind of thinking maybe we need to go back to where we were at the start.
I think it's more them finally listening. I think AT&T have been the saving grace of the DC universe, because I think they have seen it from the perspective of the fans, where they went, okay, this is something that we started it this way, we built our fan base. There's no point in trying to appeal to the dumb masses anymore. There's no point in trying to copy what Marvel are trying to do, because that works for Marvel and that's fine. We're DC, we're our own brand and we're different, and we need to stand out here instead of merging with the rest of the crowd. So why take something that's designed to look a certain way and completely remix it to do what? To dilute it, to make it fit in with everything else? Surely that was a bad idea. So what I really appreciate is what AT&T are doing, which is taking it back to its original vision, as it was meant to be, and as what attracted people to it in the first place.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I've said this when we used to do the radio show, and I've said this in articles, and we've talked about this as well. I always still maintain that the original plan was to let DC become lighter and more, fun-oriented, and to go that way. Because it has already been established that movie started off, that the DC universe with the Snyder Cut and Man of Steel was heading down the nightmare path. Yeah. And once that was fixed and reconciled, there was talk of characters like Booster Gold coming in, and we were going to be getting Green Lantern and everything. And I think the universe would have just naturally bloomed into a much brighter kind of world of its own.
Well, yeah.
I think I'm losing my camera here, Caleb.
No, you're good.
I'm just talking to producer Caleb sitting here beside me. The camera's back.
Happy days. No, I absolutely agree with you, and I think it's a very clever way of storytelling if you can lock people in and do it. Like, I think movies like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and especially the Snyder Cut, they were always meant to be very polarizing movies. They were always meant to have a specific set fan base. And then once that was out of the way, and then DC naturally, not in this ham-fisted studio interference way, but naturally began to get brighter and more people started watching them, you would see more demand later on in its life for Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League, because people would go back and watch it knowing that there was a bright horizon ahead of them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Jack is saying Jared Leto is very underrated as the Joker. Completely agree. Yeah. He also said, I'm curious about the Snyder Cut of HBO Max isn't available in a lot of Ireland and the UK. See the new cut. That's been in my head for a while now. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't rule out a limited theatrical release for this.
Yeah, if not with HBO Max not being launched globally by the time that the Snyder Cut's ready to air, I think we may see deals with the likes of Netflix, Amazon Prime, and other streaming service that's established here in the UK, because we've seen that already with the likes of Doom Patrol, where it's available on Amazon in the UK, yet it had its own dedicated streaming service in the US. So I'm guessing there will be somewhere around it. And the thing about streaming services that I've noticed, whenever they pick up on it, and it's beautiful whenever they do, is that piracy is at an all-time high now, thanks to streaming services, because people can they already have that digital file on the streaming network. They can then take that and upload it to whatever torrent site that they need to. So in order to combat that, they need to make it available globally on the same day at the exact same time. That's what Netflix got right. Whenever they release a new series of, say, Stranger Things, it always debuts at midnight in the US, always debuts at 8 a.m. here in the UK, and debuts roughly around the similar time. So it goes global at the exact same time. So, we're seeing it as well with CBS All Access in the States has the Star Trek shows, which, your own personal opinion of those aside, there are people out there that are watching them. And there would be demand, especially with the likes of Star Trek Picard, just even from a curiosity perspective, for people over here to watch it that obviously we don't have access to CBS All Access. So what CBS did was make a deal with Amazon Prime. So you can see Star Trek Discovery, you can see Star Trek Picard on Amazon here. So I'm imagining they'll go down a similar path with HBO Max, where we will see deals with different streaming services over here, even if it's just temporary, until HBO Max gets their servers up and running globally.
Well, yeah, because just going by what you're on, just sort of going a step further with what you're saying and what Jack was saying as well. What worries me about the Snyder Cut needs to be a success.
Yeah.
For any hope of Ben Affleck coming back, for any hope of us going back to that DC universe, which I still love and I'm very open to going back to. But one of my big worries with that is if it debuts on HBO Max and it doesn't come to Netflix and it doesn't come to Amazon or wherever else, people are just going to go because people are going to want to see it, and people are going to pirate it. They're going to download it. They're going to get it off mates. They're going to, and 50% of the fans are going to see it without having to go to HBO Max. And my worry is that the movie will take a hit for that. I mean, Disney, there's no denying Disney felt that with The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the amount of people overseas that were just pirating and streaming the likes of Mandalorian. I mean, The Mandalorian is, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, one of the best things that happened to Star Wars since Empire. I think it's just a fantastic television series from start to finish. And had Disney Plus been released globally instead of just in the States, and then I think it was as far back as just March this year that people in the UK were legally watching The Mandalorian. I mean, like, I know of a few people that did download it and watch it illegally, but have since got Disney Plus and watched it again just to make those numbers up because they think the show is that good. So perhaps we'll see something similar happen with the Snyder Cut. I think numbers-wise, because HBO Max is just going to be an American exclusive for the most part, whenever it first debuts, I think they'll just look at those numbers because they'll have nothing else really to go with. Like, yeah, it would be fantastic if they were to have everything set up around the world by the time that the Snyder Cut's ready, so then that way you'll see more numbers, you'll see who's interested and who's not on a global level. But I think it shouldn't hurt it. I don't think.
Well, I do hope you're right. Sticking with DC, this is interesting now. These following two stories are what I would classify as stories that normally I would just sort of raise my eyebrows at. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is that I'm hearing this from a lot of places, and I've heard both of these rumours before, so I have a funny feeling that there is something to it. The first one is that, we already know that HBO Max is developing a Justice League Dark movie, I believe, with J.J. Abrams. And of course, fans will know that Justice League Dark is John Constantine, Zatanna, Swamp Thing, Etrigan the Demon, Deadman. It's the supernatural, it's the darker corner of the DC universe. It's class. It's really, really good. And if it's done right, it could be brilliant. I would kill to see Etrigan the Demon in live action because he was always one of my favourite comic book characters, as I said earlier on. When I was reading Norman Breyfogle and Jim Aparo, Batman in the 90s, Etrigan the Demon was such an incredible character. But I am hearing that DC or Warner Brothers are developing a Zatanna live action movie for the big screen. And Grace Randolph, who is one of the big movie reviewers on Twitter and YouTube, has heard that, yes, she has heard this as well. And Gail Simone, who writes for DC, was asked about it on Twitter, and she just replied, yep, when she was asked if the movie is being developed. So it's interesting because this is something that's going to go to the big screen, whereas Justice League Dark is going to be on HBO Max. And to me, Zatanna should be part of Justice League Dark. So I'm wondering if this is going to be playing into the whole multiverse idea, or if there's going to be some sort of connectivity there.
Well, fingers crossed. I mean, it looks as though with we've got Flashpoint on the way. And we've heard all the madness that's going to go down there, so it definitely looks like DC are more than open to going down the multiverse path. So I can see this definitely happening, just because Justice League Dark is on a streaming platform, just because this character is going to the big screen. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's walls between those now. There's just little Venetian blinds between the two that can be opened and closed whenever DC pleases. So I think we're in a post-multiverse world now. So just because one thing's on one platform, one thing's on the other, doesn't necessarily mean the two can't meet.
I know. It's really mad because the multiverse thing really came to the fore a couple of weeks ago when we started reporting on the Michael Keaton coming back as Batman in the Flashpoint movie, or the Flash movie. And it's almost been like, even though there's been no confirmation of this, we don't know for definite, although I have a funny feeling that the DC Fandom event next month, is going to confirm a lot of this. But it's like, right, we've had that news, and now all of a sudden there's all this other news that suggests that, yes, there's going to be a multiverse, we're going to do loads of different versions of these characters, this is all coming, and we're all just like, oh yeah, well, we knew that.
Yeah.
even though we didn't, and we still don't really, but to me this is, and Warner Bros. And AT&T and DC, they have to be aware of all this. Like, the fans are just embracing this. they're all just like, yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, like, we're nerds. We grew up with this stuff. So it's not like it's something that's completely unknown to us. And it's not something that's not unknown to the general masses these days anyway, because look at how well Spider-Verse did. That'll always be my one true example that you can make a multiverse movie, live action or animated work. So I think people are very much more accepting of this idea. I think it's something that has endless possibilities. It's basically opening up to whole new landscapes, whole new worlds, and I think audiences are more than ready for that. They're more than ready to bring that on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. There was also a rumor, I must say, just add to this, that Zatanna was going to appear in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad movie, so it might be a good way to introduce it. But like, I mean, look at next year. I've heard that they're going to introduce Batman in season 2 of Batwoman. So if they do that, that means that next year we're going to have Robert Pattinson in the Batman. we're going to have Ben Affleck back in the Snyder Cut and potentially coming back for his own series. We're going to have Michael Keaton coming back as 89, and we're going to have the CW's Batman. And I don't think anybody has a problem with that.
No, definitely not. The more Batman, the merrier. Bring it on.
The more Batman, the merrier.
Bring that on. I'll take
Just
that.
Wetting my whistle here. Wetting my whistle.
Absolutely.
Now,
Well, do you know what they'll do? They'll do like an Avengers type team up where it's just all the Batman.
You know,
Just call it Batman.
Imagine Crisis on Infinite Gothams.
Crisis on Infinite Gothams. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Right, sticking with that idea, and hot on the heels of the Zatanna, and I think you like this because I think, like me, you were a fan of this movie, even though if it wasn't the best incarnation of the character. I am hearing a lot of rumors that Keanu Reeves is going to be the lead for the the Justice League Dark TV series on HBO Max. That he's going to come back as John Constantine, Keanu Reeves, and he's going to be the lead in that movie or TV series on HBO Max.
To quote another one of his characters, excellent.
Excellent. Yeah, you know what? The Constantine movie wasn't really a Constantine movie, but it was a really good movie.
No, it wasn't a Constantine movie. It was made at a time whenever people were like, how do we take this and adapt it for modern audiences? And they just made it one of these generic type thriller movies that just happened to have the Constantine character in it. You know, like I'm trying to think of another example of how they did that. It's essentially the equivalent of whenever Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man and they gave him bio web shooters as opposed to an actual gadget as a web shooter. It's something along those levels where it's like, well, we can't adapt the comic book because it's mental. So instead, we'll hack it to bits and turn it into this.
Yeah, I completely agree. To me, Matt Ryan is John Constantine.
Oh God, yes.
So I really hope that he doesn't get penalised for this possibility of Keanu Reeves coming back. That being said, open arms, I would take Keanu Reeves back. The movie itself, it is a really good, and I watched it there. I watched it maybe about a year or so ago. I caught it one night on TV, one late night, and once you're 2 minutes in, you can't turn it off. You have to go right to the end on it.
No, you really can't. I also love the image that you've taken here for Constantine, because I think, if I remember correctly, it's one of my favourite scenes is whenever he traps the spider in the glass and he blows smoke into it and he goes, welcome to my life.
Welcome to my life, yeah. Such a good movie. And I whether or not there's anything to this, I don't know. But when you buy into the fact that Michael Keaton could be coming back, when you buy into the fact that, you know, there's talk of Ryan Reynolds appearing as Green Lantern, don't know if I still buy that rumor, but there is talk of a cameo. When, you know, and we're embracing all these things. There was a time not too long ago when you would have just been like, what? Catch yourselves on. Now we're like, yeah, bring that on. Bring it on.
Without a doubt. I mean, like, it's not like the likes of, say, James Bond. Like, whenever one James Bond actor takes over, the old one has retired, but it's all the same character, it's all supposed to be the same continuity, and yada, yada, yada. We're now in that section of nerddom where if an actor steps away from a character, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily done with them. Yeah. You know, so you can have Keanu Reeves back playing Constantine. You can still have Matt Ryan playing Constantine. Hell, have the two of them meet. Have them team up. Have the Matt Ryan Constantine like chastise the Keanu Reeves Constantine, going like, "What the hell are you doing? That like I don't act like that. Like what the hell's with the black coat?"
Aye, exactly. And I mean, we live in an age now where Indiana Jones got old, the Ghostbusters got old, Han Solo got old. You know, we're okay with that.
Yeah, without doubt. Whenever it's done right, and whenever it still feels like the character, and it's not at the expense of betraying the character, then yeah, without a doubt, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I know. I definitely think that this is, if it's not going to happen, it's something that AT&T just might be crazy enough to try.
Do you know what? Fair play to them, because I genuinely, for the first time in I don't know how long, I have faith in the DC universe now. I have faith that it's got solid people behind it. AT&T clearly know what the fans want. They know what they're doing, and they're going to deliver.
Yeah. Well, look, I think this DC fandom is going to be like Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited for it, because I'm hearing that there's going to be a lot of Snyder. You know, we're going to get a trailer for the Snyder Cut. We're going to get a trailer for Suicide Squad. We're going to get a trailer for the Batman, and there's going to be news about the Flash. There's going to be news about Keaton coming back. There could be news about Affleck coming back, and they're also going to be talking about two so far unconfirmed movies as well.
Excellent.
So, and there's going to be, obviously there's going to be news about Aquaman 2. There's going to be news with Black Adam. There's going to be news by Shazam 2. You know, this is to me, this feels like the heyday of whenever Marvel, you know, that sort of end of phase 1, start of phase 2, when the world was your oyster, kind of that period.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. And even Jack Turner in the comments says a similar thing. I remember a time when two superheroes in one movie was unreal. I mean, Mark, yeah. I'll always go to your example on this. The time that you said you were watching Batman and Robin, of all things, in the cinema, and Batman dropped a line about this is why Superman works alone, and you just went,
yeah,
because that's the best that we got back then.
That was as good as we got, yeah. And just now, it's again, and we've said this before, if you could take like 10-year-old you and show him the kind of movies that we were getting now, his head would explode.
Oh God, absolutely. Although saying that, if that really is on the table, I'll take that offer. Take my consciousness and put it into my 10-year-old self.
Yeah.
Happily.
Sticking with DC for the last rumour of the night, I am hearing as well, again, not sure how much salt I need to take with this story, but apparently DC are considering a Justice League Rebirth movie.
Okay.
Which will not really be a sequel to Justice League, but will kind of set up a whole new live-action Justice League. Now, whether that means Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller and Henry Cavill, whether that means they're all hanging around, we don't know at the minute. As I said, this is just a rumor. The interesting thing about it is that the fact that it's called Justice League Rebirth is that in the comics after Flashpoint, there was a story called Rebirth, which then led to the creation of the New 52, which was the full reboot of the DC universe. So, in that respect, whoever came up with the name, whether true or not true, they were doing their homework. It wouldn't surprise me if they were planning another Justice League movie. I just couldn't see them taking that sort of chance anytime soon.
Yeah, especially so close to the likes of the Snyder Cut, which has been a high point of contention amongst the fan base and amongst, let's be honest, everyone up to this point. And obviously we've heard the rumours now about how Joss Whedon was treating people on set and what have you, and yada yada. So I think to throw another Justice League project into that mix, especially when you've got the likes of Justice League Dark planned, I think it's a little bit much, and it could ultimately damage the brand as a result. So I think you need to hold off on this for a little while. Give the Snyder Cut room to breathe. Give Justice League Dark room to breathe. Let the controversy surrounding Joss Whedon die down a little bit or get resolved in some form before you start pushing more projects like this.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Tell me this. This is something this is just going on a sidetrack here. Do you think the plan is to bring Robert Pattinson's Batman into the main Justice League to basically replace Ben Affleck?
I wouldn't say it's not on the cards. I'd say there's definitely a reason why they're going down this route, because the Batman that we see in that timeline, in the Justice League timeline, he is supposed to be the Dark Knight Returns Batman. Yeah. He's supposed to be old, broken. Like, I always go to his line in Batman v Superman, 20 years in Gotham, how many good guys are left? How many stayed good? You know, so he is supposed to have that cynical, over-the-hell edge where He's not the young idealistic crime fighter that he used to be. His morals have changed. His reasons for doing this have changed. And I don't think he's the type of Batman that was ever designed to have longevity to him. Especially whenever we have this brand new universe that's just been created with... like, Superman has literally just become Superman. Wonder Woman has just revealed herself to the world. Same with Aquaman and Flash and Cyborg. So, to have all those characters together, I get why Zack Snyder chose to do that, because you needed that old, jaded superhero in Batman to tie the rest of them together. But once he's accomplished that task, I think you need to have him step aside and have someone younger come in. Be it Terry McGinnis, or be it an alternate reality version of Batman like what Robert Pattinson's playing.
Yeah, I think there is... I still hold on to this possibility that Robert Pattinson is the younger version of Ben Affleck's Batman. I still think there's a very real possibility that they'll either not address it at all, or it will be confirmed down the line that yes, he is a younger version.
I was thinking about this, right? Now, go with me here for a moment. One of my all-time favourite Batman movies is Mask of the Phantasm.
Okay.
I absolutely adore it. I take it you know the story.
I do. It's a great movie.
Right. Imagine it reworked for the big screen like this. Starts off with Ben Affleck's Batman, basically in the future, present day. And that's how you tell the story with the Phantasm character. And you do flashbacks throughout the movie, where it's Robert Pattinson first meeting the character and all the backstory.
Like the episode of Young Indiana Jones that Harrison Ford's in.
Yeah.
And he bookends the story and tells about when he was a kid.
Yeah, but not even in terms of bookending it. I mean, it's kind of like Lost in its way, where like it'll have flashbacks all throughout the movie. So you basically, it's like a team-up movie where they don't team up. So it starts with Ben Affleck, flashes back to Robert Pattinson, flashes back to Ben Affleck, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, wasn't there plans a while back to do that with Die Hard? To have Bruce Willis and a younger version of Bruce Willis, and they were going to tell a story where he was fighting a criminal that he came up against when he was in his 20s or something, and it was going to be the same story told over two different generations?
Yeah, I think so, but you know, after the performance of the last Die Hard movie, I can't imagine what a cluster shambles that would have turned out being.
I know. But I just mean, it's an idea. I do remember that this isn't the first time that idea came up. But yeah, I love that idea. I think that's an amazing... You do like a long Halloween idea where it's spread out over a period of time, and it's still this one damn, puzzle that he never solved kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love that idea. But I have a funny feeling that after this whole multiverse thing comes in, and the Flashpoint movie, if it is a Flashpoint movie at all, the more I hear, the more I think it's not a Flashpoint movie. But I just have a funny feeling that Robert Pattinson is going to be pulled into the main DCEU as Batman.
Yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. And bring Andy Serkis along with you.
Absolutely, yeah, Alfred, brilliant. One of the things, by the way, I have to say that I loved the most about Gotham was Sean Pertwee's Alfred, because he was such badass.
Yeah, he was brilliant, and I think that's really something you need to explore more with Alfred, because you have to remember Alfred was technically Bruce's legal guardian after the Waynes were killed, so it only makes sense that Bruce's training would begin with Alfred and continue on from there, because I think we're used to that Michael Gough and Michael Caine type of Alfred, where he's like that loving father figure type, and he's a little bit of a soft touch type of person, and you kind of look at it and go, really, you're Batman's man in the chair? Whereas what they did with Sean Pertwee and what they seem to be doing with Andy Serkis as well, that to me makes so much more sense. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the comics, Alfred always was a bit of a badass, so it makes complete sense that that would come across. I'm just googling something here. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, and Jeremy Irons as well. I thought Jeremy Irons' Batman v Superman was an amazing Alfred.
Yeah, Jeremy Irons, I absolutely buy as Alfred. Because he really does look like he's just so done with you.
Yeah, even before he wasn't taking any Batman shit. Like,
no, he really wasn't, and he also looks like he could kick your ass as well.
Yeah, Jeremy Irons is amazing, and it's actually one of the things. Nearly as much as Ben Affleck leaving, the loss of Jeremy Irons, and as much as I'm looking forward to seeing Andy Serkis as Alfred, but the loss of Jeremy Irons, I loved his Alfred.
One misses the day when one's biggest worry was exploding wind-up penguins.
Exactly. Yeah. But so I don't know. It's really exciting time for being a DC fan, and as I say, I do think this DC fandom next year or next month is gonna be a game changer. I feel the way the Marvel fans felt 5 years ago, 6 years ago. At the minute, it feels as if it's been off to a rocky start, but with Joker and Aquaman, and Shazam, they finally realised, yeah, you know what? I think we know what we're doing here. And then AT&T have come in. They've seen the possibilities. They've seen the potential, and they've just said, let's be a comic book saga. Let's not try to make a movie by committee. Let's do what it should be.
Oh yeah, unquestionably so.
And I'm really, really excited about that. Right, before we get in trouble, let's get over to the Marvel Universe.
Oh, if we must.
Yeah, so just before I do, have you seen the Deadpool figures? I think they're the, what do you call those, like really nice Marvel figures that there are?
Marvel Select?
I think it's Marvel Select. There's Deadpool ones coming out.
Alright.
From Deadpool 2, and there's X-Men ones, because up until this point, because Disney and Fox, Disney wasn't letting the license for these figures go out, but now there is. So there's a line of Deadpool figures, and there's a line of X-Men figures, and I really need a Logan and a Deadpool in my collection.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly. Are they based on the movies?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I shall watch their release date approach with great interest.
Yeah, so we're getting Cable, we're getting Domino, we're getting Negasonic,
Teenage Warhead, yeah.
We're getting her, we're getting Deadpool, and then we're getting a selection of the X-Men as well. We're getting Charles Xavier and Magneto and Logan, and can't think, is the all Cyclops? Someone says Cyclops, but they look class, and I really want all of the Deadpool figures.
Wonderful, because that's one thing that has been sorely lacking in terms of merchandise, has been X-Men figures, like proper high-end collectible figures. Like I need a Patrick Stewart, Charles Xavier. I need an Ian McKellen Magneto in my life, and you can't get them anywhere. Like the best,
they're coming. The
best that we've got up to this date has been a very rough imitation of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, but that was released as part of the Wolverine. It wasn't part of X-Men. I need him in that jacket.
I think it's actually that jacket he's wearing.
Oh, my fanboy dreams all came at once. Brilliant.
And it's Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, Xavier and Magneto.
Do we have a release date for these yet?
No, but it is this year. If you actually go onto the FTN, if you go onto @Nerd following the Twitter, I posted an image of it yesterday. So it looks absolutely class. Now, sticking with Deadpool. Now, we know that a few weeks ago, Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool, was very unhappy at Marvel, and he came out and he said that, to his knowledge, Kevin Feige does not have a plan for Deadpool in the MCU. There is nothing in the works. They don't know what's happening. Even though Ryan Reynolds seemed to be flying the torch and saying, no, it's all good, it's coming, it's all good. And now it seems that Morena Baccarin?
Morena Baccarin, yes. Firefly's own Morena Baccarin.
Yeah, who plays Vanessa in the Deadpool movies. It seems that she hasn't been contacted about a Deadpool 3 yet either. She said apparently they're still writing it. I genuinely don't know. I have not been asked or approached. There's been no conversations, so I'm waiting with bated breath. But she says that she would definitely love to be back with Ryan Reynolds in the role again. Do you think I have a funny feeling it's going to happen if they bring Ryan Reynolds Deadpool into the MCU, it's just going to be Ryan Reynolds Deadpool?
Yeah, without a doubt. Because you can get away with that. You can do whatever you please with Deadpool because he is that character that's known for breaking the fourth wall. And whereas Marvel's usual tactic would be have the characters introduced and just sweep everything that came before under the carpet, you could almost play that as the main focal point of a Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
Like, I loved your idea. You came up with this ages ago now, but you came up with this idea that was like Deadpool tries to swear and he gets bleeped, or like someone raises a hand and puts it over his mouth and he's like, "What the hell? Like, why can't I swear?" Oh, right, yeah, MCU.
Yeah,
got ya.
Yeah, and I think when we get to like the Multiverse of Madness and the Scarlet Witch, what is it, Scarlet Vision? WandaVision. I think when we get to those. Talking about DC's multiverse, I think Marvel's going to open the multiverse, and again, I said to you, I think that's how we're going to get Deadpool and X-Men and all those kind of things are going to come from that.
Yeah, without a doubt. It seems to be a little bit of a shame, but understandably so, that Kevin Feige wouldn't have a plan for them just yet. Like, he wouldn't have a plan of how to introduce Deadpool just yet. Because I think it's come at a time where, and you have to remember with these Marvel movies, they're kind of like a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle, where you have to complete a certain bit of the puzzle before you do the rest of it. So I think their primary focus now, as it should be, is Phase 4, which has already seen a lot of blows and a lot of setbacks, because lest we forget, Guardians 3 was supposed to kick off Phase 4, and it was supposed to be their space side of things, the cosmic side of the storytelling. And unfortunately, with everything that happened with James Gunn, that was put in the back burner. So a lot of Phase 4 seems to be like very grounded. So like, I think we're starting off with Black Widow, and then we're getting Shang-Chi, and we're not getting the Eternals for a long, long time yet too. So I think that's their primary focus at the moment. But I do think you're right in terms of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That is going to be the key turning point. And
I think so.
Genuinely, I do not expect to walk out of the cinema after seeing Multiverse of Madness without mutants and a certain Marvel's first family being introduced by the time the credits roll.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree. Out of Phase 4, and I know it wasn't officially announced, well, it was officially announced, but we don't know where it fits in. The thing that has me most excited in Phase 4, or Phase 5, I suppose, is Mahershala Ali as Blade. I can't wait to see how they bring that corner of the Marvel Universe into the whole thing.
Without a doubt, because to me, right, Blade looks like he belongs with the Defenders. That Hell's Kitchen aspect, where he looks like he wouldn't be out of place with the likes of Daredevil or Jessica Jones or Luke Cage or Iron Fist.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how they incorporate that. Like, do we know if Blade's going to be a movie yet? Is it a TV series? Is it Disney Plus? What's going on?
I want to say that it's a TV series, but I don't think that's been confirmed. I think, because I know they really just brought Mahershala Ali in and showed the Blade logo. Yeah, but I remember afterwards. Yeah, I remember afterwards there was a lot of talk about Disney Plus and everything else. So it could be a TV series, I suppose.
They're really, and I can't stress this enough, get their ass in gear when it comes to Disney Plus. Because I know for a fact at the moment they have targeted it to more child-friendly content. They really need one of those like Netflix type filters, so that when you click in, there's your account and then there's 4 kids. Because Disney are kind of rubbing me up the wrong way a little bit lately, where they're doing things that are kind of shitty, let's be honest, and aren't necessary. Like that atrocious CGI job for Daryl Hannah and Splash. Yeah. It's like, really, what's going to harm a kid by seeing an ass? We've all got one. It's not like it's another type of body part where it's, oh, well, you know, that's a little bit private. It's a bum!
Yeah.
Lighten up!
And then, let's not forget Artemis Fowl. Producer Caleb, what was the rating for Artemis Fowl at the minute?
9% from viewers and 20% from critics.
Yeah, 20% from critics and 9% from viewers on Rotten Tomatoes or Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. It's an atrocious movie. We watched it last week. Oh my god, it's so bad.
To be honest with you, it looked like a train wreck from the beginning. Artemis Fowl's a book series that I tried to get into. I really did, but there was just something very, very off about it.
Yeah, I don't know. And the idea that they balked at this idea of a kid being a villain, I love that idea. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean about Disney. It just seems to me that Marvel and everything at the minute, everything seems to be very quiet. DC just seem to be following the nerd at the minute, and I know I am a DC guy, but I do try to report everything on following the nerd. But it just seems to be the DC newsletter at the minute.
Well, yeah,
everything's DC.
But I mean, isn't that because Marvel have already kind of blown their wad so far?
Possibly.
Because, like, we know what it's like whenever they go to Comic-Con or whenever they have a big announcement thing or whatever. Like, they have this planned out 4 or 5 years in advance. So the last time that Kevin Feige spoke, he told us the plan. That hasn't changed. So he came out and he said, oh yeah, these are all our Disney Plus shows. These are all our movies. These are still happening. It's just because of the pandemic and the lockdown has put the brakes on everything. So, like, realistically, by now, we should have seen Black Widow. We should have been on the way to Eternals this Christmas.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the hype trains had to be paused for a little while now. because they've already told us everything that we need to know. It's just a case of waiting for the movies to come out, and we'll see the post-credit scenes, and then we'll hear all the interviews and what have you. But it is where it is at the moment. Marvel are kind of they're stuck in the molasses, and it's pretty thick molasses too. It'll take them a while to wade out of it.
Interestingly, you mentioned Black Widow there. We have a wee bit of Black Widow news here tonight. Black Widow, of course, was supposed to be out in the cinemas on the 1st of May, but then because of that damn virus, it's been pushed back. Currently, it's sitting at the 28th of October. Now, we know that Halloween Kills, I believe, is the new movie.
Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, something like that.
Something like that. But I think there's this one, and then there's the next one's probably Halloween Ends. But it's been pushed back to next Halloween. It was supposed to be at this Halloween because of coronavirus as well. And to me, that worries me that we may not see Black Widow this year at all.
Yeah, Halloween has been cancelled. Halloween this year. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's been cancelled, or that Black Widow has been cancelled for a release date for this year, because it's just a funny time, isn't it? It's such a weird, nitpicky time whenever movies are being pushed back and being pushed forward. Like, we know that Chris Nolan's movie Tenet, that has been pushed back a handful of weeks as well. Wonder Woman got pushed back, and then it's been slowly edging back forward again. The James Bond picture, No Time to Die, that's starting to edge its way forward again too. I don't know. It basically all depends on if people can just follow the goddamn rules, wear a mask, wash your hands, have the love of God, stay in the house if possible, and get the coronavirus under control so all the scientists are happy, all the news reporters are happy, and more importantly, all the film distributors are happy. Cinemas are reopening again here, as we know, with extreme social distancing measures in place. So if that continues as it has over the last couple of weeks, I think we'll still see Black Widow this year. And I think at a push now, Marvel are really going to have to force this one out. Yeah. Because... Steady! But
I just need to go to the cinema. I just want to go to the cinema.
Yeah, no, like we've just got to drop this in the bowl now. Like, we really have. It's been hanging, it's been dangling for too long now, and we've got to get this out and got to get this out of the way with. And
I know.
And there's a reason behind it too. Mark, wipe it off and tell us.
Okay, so the latest issue of Empire has an interview with Kate Shortland, who's the director of Black Widow. Now, I have a funny feeling that this might be an interview that's been scheduled for a while and that the movie should have been out by now.
Yeah, it really should have been.
Because she drops a pretty big spoiler here. So if you don't want to know, lower the volume down for a minute or two. Because in the interview, she pretty much revealed that yes, this is Scarlett Johansson's last outing as Black Widow, which we kind of guessed since she died in Endgame.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and that she will be passing the torch to Florence Pugh's Yelena character, which I have no problem with at all. I Florence Pugh is an amazing actress. Midsommar blew my mind, and then Fighting With My Family and anything I've seen her in, she's been absolutely fantastic. But I still think it's a pretty big reveal. Now, what she said was that Kevin Feige, who we just been talking about, Kevin Feige realised that the audience would expect an origin story, so of course she went in the opposite direction. We didn't know how great Florence Pugh would be. We knew she would be great, but we didn't know just how great. Scarlett is so great. It's like, oh, I'm handing her the baton, so it's going to propel another female storyline. So yeah, she said in Endgame the fans were upset that Natasha didn't have a funeral, whereas Scarlett, when I spoke to her about it, said Natasha wouldn't have wanted a funeral. She's too private, and anyway, people don't really know who she is. So basically, she also said that this movie is kind of, because Black Widow's death in Endgame was just like, oh wait, she's gone, I've moved on. This is kind of the movie where you get used to the fact that Black Widow is now dead, that Natasha's gone. But it's very interesting. I'm guessing now, moving forward, that Florence Pugh will essentially be Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow in this franchise.
Yeah, I'm guessing so as well. And there's a lot of subtle nods that they've put into this with Infinity War in particular, where the last time that we saw Natasha Romanoff as Black Widow in Civil War, she had the red hair, she had her black jumpsuit on, and that was great, that was fine. The next time we see her in Infinity War, she's got short blonde hair and she's wearing a green vest. And everyone naturally at the time assumed, and quite naturally too, that this was her underground with Captain America and Falcon. This was her in hiding, and that this was like some sort of disguise. However, if you watch the Black Widow trailer carefully, Yelena is wearing that green vest and she's got blonde hair. So I'm guessing they're going to go down this strange identity switching route where like Florence Pugh's character is going to take on the actual identity of Natasha Romanoff, and she's going to dye her hair red and she's going to wear the black jumpsuit and that sort of thing. And meanwhile, Natasha Romanoff has taken on Florence Pugh's character.
Was there some weird leak came out? This is actually ringing a bell with me. Images leaked on Reddit or something where it looked like I can't remember what exactly it was. It was images of the two actresses, and it kind of looked like they were literally swapping swapping faces. You know, like a Mission Impossible reveal. You know, that kind of an idea.
Yeah.
And it seemed to be hinting that maybe this character, Florence Pugh's character, has been in the MCU maybe before that we just didn't realise. But they're going down that kind of road with it?
No, I don't think they would do that, because that kind of sullies the actual character that Scarlett Johansson played. I think what they'll do is they'll go down the route where it'll be Florence Pugh and she will take over. It's almost like we'll see her at the end of the movie showing up at the new Avengers mansion or whatever the hell it is, and she'll go, look, I'm here to carry on the work that my sister in arms was doing. You know, something like that. And I'm going to continue her legacy. So I'm not Natasha Romanoff, but I am Black Widow.
Yeah, I think that's very, very likely. And I guess again we had pretty much worked that out. Mm-hmm. But I still think I would have feeling that Marvel and Disney would probably rather not have that confirmed at this stage in the game.
No, definitely not, because again, you always have to think of Joe Public, don't you? You always have to think, okay, well, this isn't going to be a big spoiler for people that just sort of passively watch these movies. So we need to keep all of this under wraps. Even if it's something that looks very straightforward and it looks like a lot of fans would easily work it out, we still, just on principle, have to keep that under wraps.
Yeah. No, I do agree. Are we excited for this movie? I certainly am going to go and see it. I've enjoyed the trailers. I just kind of feel it's a bit superfluous that at this stage it doesn't really need to be told.
Yeah, I mean, it is rather defunct, seeing as, like, we know where this character winds up. We know what her ultimate fate is. So there's no stakes in terms of, are they making a Black Widow movie just so Scarlett Johansson's character can die in this movie? Well, no, because clearly she survives, because this is set between Civil War and Infinity War. So I'm cautiously optimistic about it now, because I think the primary goal of this movie is to set up the replacement, the new Black Widow, as opposed to being, oh, it's just a standalone adventure, it doesn't overly connect to the MCU at large, and it's just going to follow Black Widow on a random mission. Because that's the way that they presented it, the way they marketed it. There I go with tongue twisters again. But it's got two things working for it. One, it's further delving into the backstory of the Black Widow program, which, fair play, market that all you like. And two, it's got the setup of Florence Pugh's new Black Widow character. So as long as they keep the focus on that, which it looks like they're doing, and it's just basically, it's a culmination of Natasha Romanoff's time as Black Widow within the MCU. That seems to be the way they're going for it, and I think that in itself is enough to redeem the movie, which, let's be honest, should have been released goddamn years ago by now.
Yeah. I am looking forward to it, and it seems to be, it almost seems as if the whole thing that's happened with this virus and everything else has kind of worked into the detriment of the movie, because it kind of almost just feels like everybody has just forgotten about it now, and it's just like, we're never going to see that now. What's next?
You're absolutely right, because I think it was supposed to be one of those, I think it was essentially supposed to work the same way that the Spider-Man movies worked. Like, whenever you look at the likes of Far From Home, it was released after Endgame, and it was supposed to be that little, alright, we're putting the brakes on, a little bit of a breather before we start the next big thing. Black Widow looked like that was supposed to be it, because it's the start of the phase. Look at the rest of the movies that have kicked off phases. Phase 1, first movie was Iron Man, and it was a fun little self-contained adventure. Same thing with Iron Man 3 and Phase 2. In Phase 3, we had what was it? Well, we had a little buffer in Phase 3, because Phase 2 ended with Age of Ultron, and then Phase 3 kicked off with Civil War, but in between the two, in its own little pocket dimension, was Ant-Man. So I think that's exactly what they were supposed to do. They knew they were taking a break after making Far From Home, so in order to gently drop you back into this world again, they decided Black Widow was the best option for this. It's just unfortunate that the pandemic has hit us, the movie's been delayed, and I'm sure everyone over at Disney and Marvel are kind of tearing their hair out over this. Because they were like, this isn't the focal point. This was just supposed to be a little get everyone back up to speed type movie, and then we're going to hit you hard with Eternals in November. And now that plan's out the window. And all the focus is now on DC, and rightfully so, because DC have got a lot of exciting projects that they need to be talking about and getting people invested in. Marvel don't have that ace in the hole, where they can't go, oh yeah, but we're working on this and we're doing that, because they already blew their wad.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Right, listen, I think we should, just before we get into the last really big story of the night, which is probably the big story of the last couple of weeks, and the last story, the biggest story of the year, if it turns out to be true. Tom Cruise is running for president. What? Yes! At long last! Someone that we can get behind! Woo! Yeah, Cruise 2020! Yeah! Oh man! Trump and Biden have got nothing on this. This is Tom Cruise's official video announcing his candidacy for President of the United States for 2020. Take a look at this.
There's a lot of talk about the race in 2020. Sure, there's a lot of candidates in the running. But can any of them actually run? I mean, really run? I'm the last American movie star. No one runs like I do. And nobody opens a box office like me. And with your help in 2020 together, we'll dominate the ballot box. This is no stunt. But if it were, I do all those for real. Why vote for me? I'm not just your everyman. I've literally been every man. I've been a Navy pilot, a lawyer, and a Navy lawyer. My opponents will say I was a pimp in high school. True, but I grew up fast in NASCAR country and started a small business as a sports agent to set a better example. I know foreign diplomacy because I fought alongside the samurai, and I'm proud to serve our country, defending our planet against aliens twice. No, 3 times. I know this country top to bottom, inside out, from here to here, because I've lived its history. Literally, I did. As a vampire. I feel the need to lead. As your commander-in-chief, no mission is impossible. So help me help you to elect me in 2020. I'm just a patriot. My birthday? The 4th of July. I'm Tom Cruise and I'm running for President of the United States. America, you complete me. Show me 2020!
Tom Cruise there, literally running for president. Of course, not the real Tom Cruise.
No, a guy called Miles Fisher.
So sad.
Blew my mind.
So sad that it's not actually him.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter yesterday, and it blew my mind.
Did you fall for it?
It's so good. I didn't fall for it, but I definitely thought it was Tom Cruise. I didn't think he's running for president, but I thought it might be some just fun video he was putting together.
Even just for a split second, because I mean, like they nailed it. Like, I mean, it looks like Tom Cruise, and like
it's so good.
I really, really just for a second went, is this real?
Is this real? Yeah, well, look, you know what? Kanye West is running, or apparently, and I don't know what's real anymore.
Yeah.
So it could be real.
Are you kidding me?
honestly have to
Kanye
say,
West is the Jesus of the music industry. Come on.
I know.
Like, Taylor Swift, I respect you, but Beyonce had the best music video.
I know. I mean, if it came out in the morning that Tom Cruise is running for president, I think the whole world would just be like, aye, it's about right.
Like, I mean, no harm to you, man, but like, look at Ronald Reagan back in the 80s. Stranger things have happened.
I know. But yeah, that video, and I've actually watched another bit of that guy's stuff on the back of that, and he does a couple of videos where he's like Christian Bale in American Psycho. He's unreal. He's just one of those he just is one of those faces that he really becomes the actor he's impersonating.
Yeah.
And but that's class. That is absolutely class. And even the laugh, just the mannerisms, is perfect. But Tom Cruise for president, yeah, why not?
Yeah, go for it. Like, just
Why not?
convert the country to Scientology. I'm sure you get enough backing for a promotional campaign there, Tom.
Damn straight. Right, okay. The big news of the night. This is humongously big news. I'm sure you've heard a bit about this online. I tried to put together as much as I could. We'll talk about it in a minute, Saxon. We'll get into the details first, and then me and you are going to talk about this. There is a big rumor going online that Disney might be considering erasing The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker from the official continuity of the Star Wars universe. Now, before you start going, what? That's nonsense. I felt that way too. I've done a bit of reading around it, and I've kind of looked at what they're thinking about, and there might actually be a way for them to do this, and to keep the fans, the old fans and the new fans and the fans in between. There is possibly a way to do this and keep everybody happy. It would be a ballsy move. It would be a very ballsy move. But anyway, right, so here's the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. Basically, I don't think there's any argument, and I know a lot of people out there like it, and that's fair enough, but I really think the wheels came off Star Wars when Rian Johnson came along. He made a bad movie. There's been bad Star Wars movies before, we can forgive that, but he completely disrespected what had gone before. He ruined the characters. He also disrespected the layout of the story, because when Palpatine came in The Rise of Skywalker, that was clearly never meant to be Palpatine. Snoke was meant to be alive and well, but Rian Johnson changed all that. He, for some bizarre reason, seemed to completely sabotage the third movie in the trilogy, because there was nowhere to go after that. And even that idea that the Resistance needed backup, and there was no backup coming, but yet not on The Rise of Skywalker. Oh, hey, backup!
Yeah, we have our Avengers Endgame moment. We have our Portals moment for Star Wars.
Which he established in the last movie wasn't going to happen. So even if you like that movie, that's fine. I don't attack you for that or anything else. If you like it, I'm really glad you like it. I hate it with a passion. Yeah. But it just seems to me that it almost felt like sabotage. It felt like a deliberate act of sabotage.
I mean, like, taking a big step back and looking at it as a whole, it's a nothing of a movie. Yeah. It's literally 2 hours of treading water. Because when you look at it, and you look at a Star Wars movie, it's about fun, it's about adventure, it's about a group of desperate heroes scrambling together to defeat the bad guy at the 11th hour. What the hell was The Last Jedi? I mean, like, one of the most unforgivable things about that movie is, one, how they disrespected and maltreated Luke Skywalker's character. They completely butchered it. Second of all, that goddamn sequence with Holdo, with Laura Dern's character. Unforgivable. I mean, it's boring, it's pointless, and as you say, it just wrecks the entire trilogy. It derails it. Because realistically, like, you know for a fact, if J.J. Abrams had come back to do the episode 8, it would have been about Rey being trained by Luke on the island while the Resistance are off on some other big galaxy-spanning mission. That's what it would have been. And do you know what? I like it whenever someone comes along and dissects a franchise and breaks it down and points things out and goes in new directions. That's fine. The one goddamn place you do not do that is in the middle of a set trilogy. What the hell were they thinking? To this day, it still enrages me.
And I was actually watching a video on YouTube. I can't remember the name of the guy that was doing it, and it just came up, and I was watching something and it came up on the playlist, and I let it play out. and he was saying about how, take Terminator and Terminator 2. Terminator 2 turns the world of Terminator around. It makes Sarah Connor the Terminator. It makes her a badass. It gives her a story. And in that one, it's Skynet that's on the run rather than the Resistance. It makes the Terminator the good guy. It changes everything. It does new things, but it respects the lore and what had gone before. Rian Johnson didn't do that with The Last Jedi. He didn't respect anything.
He did not at all.
It was complete. Anyway, so how could they possibly derail this? Now, this is a bit of a deep dive into Star Wars mythology. You would need to have watched Star Wars Rebels for this. If you haven't, if you go to com, I have a big feature about this. I get into it a lot if you want to read it there. But basically, the rumor is in season 4, episode 13 of Rebels, an episode called A World Between Worlds, the concept of the veil of the Force was introduced. It's a mythical dimension of the Force that connects all time and space. Now, the rumor is that Lucasfilm realizes that they have a problem with their hands with Star Wars, that the franchise on the big screen at the minute is kind of dead in the water, and despite the fact that Kathleen Kennedy hates the idea, Lucasfilm is considering rendering the sequel trilogy null and void. Basically, what the Veil of the Force is, it's doorways where you can step out of time, and you can walk between different time points within the Star Wars universe, different locations, different points in time. Emperor Palpatine used this in the mythology. In Rebels, Ezra Bridger actually uses it to rescue Ahsoka Tano from Darth Vader. It's really explained in there. It's a really, really deep part of the Star Wars mythology. The fact that it's in Rebels means it's completely canon, so they could definitely use this. So again, the rumor says the events of The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker will be removed from canon, isolated into their own alternate timeline, and regarded as an Elseworld-like installment under the label of Star Wars Legends. Basically what happened to all the books and stuff whenever Disney took over. Then it goes on to say there's going to be a massive reset within the Star Wars universe. We'll get down to see how they're planning to do it. Right. In Return of the Jedi, when Darth Vader lifts Palpatine and throws him into the core of the Death Star, and it seems certain death, Palpatine was able to open a doorway to the veil, saving himself from falling to his death and also from exploding in the Death Star moments later. The energy that he used to open a door took so much energy that this is why whenever we meet him in The Rise of Skywalker, he basically looks like he's on the verge of death. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that at some point in the future in Star Wars, being in a TV series or in a movie, whenever he steps into the veil, somebody's going to be waiting for him and is going to stop him from doing this.
Yeah, makes perfect sense to me.
If that happens, there's a really, really smart way to do this. If they do that, if they have another movie and there's a scene where that happens, that means that they can erase the sequel trilogy if they want, without making a big deal about it. They don't have to address it. They don't have to talk about it. You kill Palpatine. The fans, people that really know the story, the mythology, will work out, oh, that means those other movies didn't happen.
So you're essentially Terminator Genesising it.
Yes. And I think that there's a really, and that way it means that if you want to keep those movies in your continuity, do so. If you want to erase those movies from your continuity, do so.
Yeah, I mean, and you could almost play it in a way where it doesn't make it superfluous, where you could go, okay, this is the alternate reality where everything went wrong. So what we're doing now is going back and correcting that to make sure this reality doesn't go wrong. So you can still include Rey and Finn and Poe and Kylo Ren and everything into this new direction that you want to go in. And basically you go, okay, well, even have someone who's incredibly strong with the Force go, I've had a Force vision where all of this went down and it all went wrong, and we got our victory in the end, but what did we have to sacrifice to get it? We sacrificed Luke, Han, and Leia. And even make it episodes 10, 11, and 12.
Absolutely.
As an alternate version of 7, 8, and 9, where you go, okay, there's a bigger threat coming, we need something that Luke, Han, and Leia can do together. We don't have them. We don't have the knowledge that they had because they've passed on, and we need them. Just something like that. So it means that the sequel trilogy is rendered moot, but it's also something that fans can still watch if they enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing about it is, in Rebels, it establishes that on the second Death Star, Palpatine had like a room of mirrors, and these mirrors were doorways into the Veil. Because he didn't have those doorways, that's why it took so much energy for him to save himself in the Return of the Jedi. And somebody the rumor actually points this out. In the scene in The Rise of Skywalker where we see the dark Rey...
Yeah, I was just about to talk about that.
When she steps out of that room, there are mirrors behind her. And the rumor is, make of it what you will, that wasn't put there by Kathleen Kennedy or J.J. Abrams, it was put there by the set designers. The sort of thinking behind this is that there's two factions at Lucasfilm. There's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, who are the George Lucas purists, and then there's Kathleen Kennedy and the people that believe her vision for Star Wars is real, which would include obviously Rian Johnson, possibly J.J. Abrams, but that it was somebody more from the Lucas camp that was responsible for the set design and decoration and that, and that J.J. Abrams didn't even understand the reference to these mirrors. I didn't either. I don't mean that as a J.J. Abrams doesn't understand Star Wars. It was completely beyond me, but now it's pointed out to me, I'm like, okay, that's quite clever.
Yeah, it's like they've done this covertly, so that they're essentially like working behind the scenes to set up some way, shape or form that all this can be undone. Like essentially a big reboot button. And also it's interesting that you talk about that and talk about that J.J. Abrams didn't have any clue about this, because there is a fascinating documentary on Disney Plus, which I advise everyone watching this now, including yourself, Mark, to watch this if you can before it gets erased, because I know for a fact it will. There's a 2-hour documentary. If you click on to The Rise of Skywalker on Disney Plus and go to extras, it's basically a big 2-hour behind the scenes making of documentary. There's a sequence in it where J.J. Abrams doesn't even know what one of the MacGuffins is going to be. You know, the knife, and like they pull the thing out of the knife, and that shows you where the Allspark, or whatever the hell it was, is found on the Death Star's wreckage. They didn't know what the hell that was even going to be, so J.J. Abrams was looking at things like scrolls and stuff before he finally settles on this knife. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that J.J. Abrams didn't have a clue what the production design were doing behind the scenes on that movie.
Yeah, well, that probably ties into the whole idea as well that originally in that treatment, the bad guy, the villain that became Palpatine, was meant to be the son from the Mortis trilogy in Clone Wars.
Yes, played by Doctor Who's own Matt Smith.
He played by Doctor Who's own Matt Smith, and apparently he did film the role. Sam Witwer played the role in the Clone Wars animated series, and in that there is the Dagger of Mortis. So that would have been another deep dive, but apparently Disney were afraid of that idea because it really would have been reaching back to the hardcore fans. But anyway, the more I think about this, the more I think there could be something to this.
Yeah, without a doubt. Because if you think about it, the sequel trilogy, and I know a lot of people like them, there's people in the comments saying that they like them, Harvey Clark liked the Star Wars sequels, and do you know what, fair play to you, I'm glad you got more out of it than a large proportion of the fan base did. But it kind of wrecked it. It kind of put a little bit of a cork on the end of the bottle where you can't progress. And I know there's a lot of rumours going around lately that Lucasfilm and Disney's primary target area now seems to be post-Episode 6. Filling in the gaps between Episode 6 and Episode 7. That's the direction that they're going in. They can't do Episodes 10, 11 and 12 in the normal format because the universe is kind of dead in the water now, isn't it? Like, I mean, we have Rey, who is now taking on the mantle of the leader of all Jedi and has built her lightsaber. Like, Finn went nowhere, Poe went nowhere as a character. All three of our main protagonists from 4, 5 and 6 are now dead and died pointless deaths. So where can you go from there? I mean, it's a miracle that Rise of Skywalker was even released, because they basically had to scramble at the 11th hour to try and put all this together. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they're looking for ways around that. And this, to me, seems to be the right way, because let's not forget, Rebels, that was a big Dave Filoni thing, and if he's one that's in the same camp as George Lucas and Jon Favreau, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that we will see what happened in Rebels with Palpatine being brought into the main Star Wars saga.
Yeah, I definitely think there could be something to this. And I think as well that when you look at things like the Snyder Cut, Ghostbusters Afterlife, all the things that are happening with DC, I think these studios are starting to listen to the fans. I think,
At long last.
I know there was a period there of a few years where it almost seemed like the fans didn't know. As far as the studios were concerned, the fans were just, whatever.
Yeah, it was like, shut up, you'll like what we tell you to like.
Exactly.
Dangle the shiny, dangle the shiny.
And it seems now that they have started thinking, right, you know what, Ghostbusters 2016 wasn't a big success. Let's go back to what we should have done in the first place. The Snyder Cut, there's such an uproar. People want that movie. Let's give them that movie. There's definitely this in the Star Wars camp as well. And I think maybe they are listening. Now, it's... The thing about it is, I as much as I do not like those movies, and I've said this to you, Saxon, as well, when we've just been talking ourselves, Daisy Ridley and John Boyega especially deserve more.
Without a doubt.
Better.
I mean,
they deserve better.
Not even just that. Everyone in that sequel trilogy deserved more. Kylo Ren,
yeah.
I wait for Adam Driver, man, because Kylo Ren could have been such an interesting character throughout the entire trilogy. Even in Last Jedi, whenever he's doing stuff like taking out Snoke and then trying to convince Rey to join his side. There's so much story to be told there. Almost to the point of doing a reverse Darth Vader, where he starts off young, idealistic, and trying his hardest to mimic Darth Vader. And then throughout the trilogy, we see the reverse happen to him, what happened to Anakin, where instead of being manipulated into evil, he's then shown that there's a lighter way, there's a better path. And we see the transition from Kylo Ren back to Ben Solo. But unfortunately, no, they didn't play it that way at all, and wasteful. That's what I would call the sequel trilogy. Just a massive waste of everyone and everything involved in it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And the thing about it is too, and I know this a lot of this always gets dragged down the sexists and all this, all this kind of crap. But the fact of the matter is, when The Force Awakens came out, everybody loved Rey, everybody loved Finn, everybody loved Poe, everybody loved the movie. We all understood that it was a bit of a rip-off, but we talked about this in the last show as well. It was necessary.
Yeah.
It wasn't until Rian Johnson again came in and derailed everything that this whole toxicity that they talk about, call it what you will, came about.
Yeah, without question. And the worst thing is, it was instigated by the filmmakers. It wasn't instigated by the fans. Again, you brought up another good point there with Ghostbusters. The whole sexism thing, that didn't kick off with the fans. That kicked off with a small bunch of dickheads that went, it's women's. And the studio, Paul Feig, Amy Pascal, everyone else, jumped on that bandwagon in an attempt to secure support, because they must have seen the overwhelming majority went, don't reboot, do not reboot, make this a sequel, please. And instead of going, and that's the worst thing is, accountability does not exist in Hollywood these days. They don't hold their hands up and go, shit, sorry, we made a mistake. We're really, really sorry about this. We didn't listen to you guys, and as a result, our movie tanked. For some reason, instead of that, they're playing it in this antagonistic way, where they're paying off journalists to write puff piece articles about how, it's wonderful, it's amazing storytelling, and the fans are ruining it. Mate, the fans built it in the first place. You can go off, you can make your movie, you can set up your universe, you can have your expanded timelines and multiverses and everything. But if there's no fans, no one's going to be watching it and your movie tanks. Even if it's the best movie in the world, it's still going to tank. So always listen to your goddamn fans.
I made this argument in the article, and I made it in talking to people about this as well. It comes down to the fans. It has to come down to the fans. It always does. If you're a fan of A Nightmare on Elm Street, and you go to see A Nightmare on Elm Street movie, you want to see teenagers getting killed by Freddy Krueger in inventive and gory ways. If you get Citizen Kane, you're still not going to be happy, even though it's a good movie. You're still not going to be happy because it's not a Freddy Krueger movie.
No.
So when you give people a movie that's not a Star Wars movie, you can't blame the fans. If I had wanted to go and see a horror movie, I would have went to see a horror movie. If I had wanted to go see a comedy, I wanted to see a Star Wars movie, and it just disrespected. It made the fans feel like they were something that needed to be scraped off. That 40 years of lore was just, forget about it. it just was, I don't even want to go into it anymore, but what I am saying here is, I think the actors deserve better, the fans deserve better. I think Disney know this. And again, this isn't to slight people that like it. I know a lot of people did like it, and I'm glad, and that's fine. That's fine. But everybody that I've met, and I know I don't know all the Star Wars fans, and Saxon, I think you're the same, and everybody that I've talked to, and everybody that I've met, and we do shows, and we travel around, we talk to people, everybody hated that movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say a vast majority hated it. There are still some people out there that bought into the hype. And that's where you'll always get some. And I'm not going to sit here and take that away from them. But at the same time, as a Star Wars fan through and through, as someone that knows their shit, much like yourself, to sit and be subjected to a movie like that had no place in this trilogy, it had no place within the prime Star Wars canon, it just felt like you may as well have paid Kathleen Kennedy to walk into the cinema and punch every fan in the dick and the lady dick, respectively, throughout the entire runtime of that movie. Because that's what it was. It was basically oh, do you like playing with your little toy, do you? Do you like playing with your toy? You're not playing with it anymore. Play with this instead. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, and again, I've recounted this story, and I'll recount it again for people that haven't heard before. I went to see that movie with my brother. And about halfway through, we went to the midnight show. My daughter fell asleep. My wife fell asleep. I think my son was still awake. And I was just watching aghast. And I was doing that thing, you ever go and see a movie that you're expecting to be really good, and when it's really bad, you think to yourself, am I imagining this? Am I missing
am I just tired? Did I miss something in it?
And my brother leaned into me, and I will never forget it. He just leaned right into he put his head almost on my shoulder, and he went, "Bro, this movie's shit." And I actually was like, "Oh, thank God. I thought it was just me." And that is exactly how I felt about that movie. And I just, anyway, I think Disney might be considering this, because I think they're looking at how the fans feel, and I think they're looking at the downturn the Star Wars has taken. And again, you can't make the argument about, you just didn't like it because it was different or whatever else. Look at The Mandalorian.
I was just going
to lightsabers.
Yeah, I was literally just going to bring up Mandalorian, because to me, Mandalorian is the most Star Warsiest Star Wars that has ever Star Warsed. And it did it without lightsaber fights. It did it without overly mentioning the Force. It was literally, it was just a decent story with compelling characters that respected the lore, introduced new aspects to it without completely derailing everything that came before it. And we know that this works because look at the success rate of it. Look at the talent that you have working on it behind the scenes. Watch the Disney Gallery series talking about how The Mandalorian was put together, and you'll see that's a room full of people. It's like that meme, thank you all for, not you, and that's Kathleen Kennedy, making Star Wars awesome. It's that meme, where it's basically everyone that worked on it knew their shit inside and out. They knew exactly what the fans wanted, because guess what? They were fans of Star Wars growing up. Star Wars is the reason why they work in the industry today. And you better bet your ass that they're going to respect that in anything that they turn their hand to in terms of new Star Wars content. The people that Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger and the people at Lucasfilm hired in order to make the sequel trilogy, their batting average was way, way, way below what needed to be done. J.J. Abrams, I like the man. I think he's a very talented director. He's made some of my favourite movies. But at the same time, I don't think he was the appropriate person to oversee the opening and closing of this trilogy. I think he was the right person for Force Awakens because, we've talked about this before, it's essentially a New Hope, but faster, more intense. After that, we needed people like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to be involved in this in order to secure that the ship gets to the harbour and doesn't hit the iceberg. And unfortunately, whenever you hire people like Rian Johnson, who doesn't really have a history with Star Wars at all, I don't think he grew up with it, I don't think he has any real love for it, I think he was hired because he's a controversial director. And he had a controversial idea that for some reason Kathleen Kennedy signed off on. Whereas, say for example, if Dave Filoni was head of Lucasfilm, if Rian Johnson had pitched him that story, he would have said, "Are you insane? You'll kill it." That's a dagger to Star Wars' heart. Please don't do this. Look, we'll give you your own little trilogy, and off you pop, and you can muck around with that and do whatever you please. But don't do this in the middle of a sequel trilogy. And let's not forget what the sequel trilogy was. This was Disney's big announcement that they own Star Wars now. They're going to take it in a bold new direction. You know, it was essentially the Yoko factor. It was Yoko Ono coming in and getting John Lennon to piss off and make all these absolute weird, like, number 9-esque tracks whenever people just wanted another White Album. You know, like, that's the equivalent of this. And I'm flabbergasted by the fact that this was allowed to be Disney going, okay, we've got Star Wars now, we'll show you what we can do with it. Force Awakens worked. It worked beautifully because it was Star Wars through and through. Han Solo was Han Solo. Chewbacca was Chewbacca. The new characters all had fun, interesting dynamics. They all came from vastly different backgrounds, and they had so much potential to grow over the next 2 movies. Then you get to the likes of Last Jedi. Nobody acts like they did in the first movie. It doesn't even feel like a continuation of the first movie. With Empire Strikes Back, within the first 10-15 minutes, everything's already there, it's already established. You know who Luke Skywalker is, and he's off doing something wildly heroic and might get himself killed in the process. Han is wanting to get out of there as quickly as possible. He's giving Chewie a hard time. R2 and C-3PO are having various arguments. Princess Leia is now taking command of this on the Rebel base on Hoth. They're all there. They're all still the same characters. It's a natural progression. You get to The Last Jedi, which, and even further to its detriment, with Star Wars movies, there's always a time skip. There's always 3 years, roughly, or so, or in between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, there's like a 10-year gap, just so Anakin can grow up into a bitchy little teenager. But there's always a gap. Last Jedi begins at the moment where Force Awakens left off. So you can't even make the argument that, oh, but a couple of years has passed, so that's why these characters are acting like this. It's just inexcusable, and it's bad writing. Let's call it what it is. Bad, lazy, inconsistent writing that doesn't keep the tone of the movie that came before it, and it sure as hell doesn't lead to the movie that comes after it. It's a waste.
Bouncing over the comments here, Paul Rogers, can they erase the prequels too? Look, at least the prequels did something different, and they told a story that was quintessentially Star Wars. Jack says, wasn't there multiple cuts of the Rise of Skywalker? Yes, we're led to believe there's several cuts of it, because apparently J.J. Abrams wasn't happy with the cut that went out. It wasn't the movie that he had envisioned. Harvey says if they had have introduced the Son of Mortis, there would have been backlash against it. Yes, there would. I agree. There always will be, but probably not from the fans, because that story is really, really good. And what else? All the sequels have their flaws. The Force Awakens is some ways a copy of A New Hope. It was extremely good to start the sequels. What killed it was The Last Jedi. I agree, The Last Jedi was better. We wouldn't be here. We would have a sequel trilogy that at least the vast majority would have enjoyed. Absolutely agree. The Rise of Skywalker should have done Avengers Endgame money. It was the payoff for a 40-year-old story. It should have been huge. We should still be able to go see it in the cinema, and it just dwindled. It lasted like a week, 2 weeks, and it just dwindled out, which for any Star Wars movie is brutal. For a movie that's supposed to wrap up a nine movie saga.
I can't help but think of that old T.S. Eliot quote. You know the one. This is how the world ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper.
One number, exactly. I think Disney are definitely considering this. Again, as much as I don't like the movies, I don't want them completely erased. I would like it to be that you can, if you want them to be there, you can. I don't think it. I think it might be overkill to absolutely go right. Those movies don't exist. Forget about it, because it has its fans.
Yeah.
And as a fan who has had this happen. And look, I love Rey. I love these characters. I love Ahsoka Tano. I had this done to me with Star Wars. I have done to me with Ghostbusters. I have done to me with Doctor Who. It just seems that all these franchises like to come along and they're like, yeah, don't worry about what the fans want. Don't worry about that. And if they say anything, they're sexist, or they're racist, or they're somethingist, right? But we're not. We're fans. We just want a good story.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken us, 4 or 5 years, but now I think they're finally starting to realise, if you want your movie to be successful, don't attack the fans. Because they're the ones that pay the money. They're the ones that buy the merchandise. They're the ones that have their bums on the seats at opening night. And if you're going to sit there and call them a bunch of racist, sexist, misogynists that hate everything and they're not open to change and blah, 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 you're alienating them. So who the hell do you think is going to be supporting your movie?
Who would have thought? Who would have
Good
thought? Right.
God.
On that happy note, I think we're going to wrap this all up. We will be back, of course, all going well, next Thursday night at 9:30. We're hoping as well to have a couple of shows up between now and then. I'm looking to try and get sort of a couple of shows up a week in between, just on my own, based around the big stories on the site. For all the latest news, reviews and interviews, go to followingthenerd.com. If you want to follow this lunatic, you will find him right down there.
Associated with Vote Saxon 07.
Yes, over on his YouTube channel. What have you got coming up?
Just probably more live streams and stuff like that, because I started a new job lately and my focus is like I've just got like sheets after sheets of just cheat sheets and new stuff that I have to learn and stuff like that, so my brain's just jam at the moment. So the best I can muster up is just like random live streams with Anthony. It used to be every Tuesday night, now it's every Wednesday night. So that means back-to-back live streams for me in the future. I don't get a night off, so it'll be Wednesday nights, Vote Saxon 07 live stream, Thursday nights Following the Nerd live stream. I have a couple of things that, I have several things that I still have to make toy reviews of, but I don't have the energy. I'm so old now. I'm so broken. But I'll get there.
I picked up a couple of things today on eBay that I think you might actually be pretty excited to see, because I know not too long ago we were talking about the Beetlejuice toys from the 90s. You didn't even know that they existed, I think. Yep, and they're really good because they're supposed to be based on the animated series, but they were clearly based on the movie.
Yeah.
But they produced Beetlejuice had a toy car, had a car, had like a roadster. I picked that up on eBay today, boxed.
Oh, nice.
For like 25 quid, I think it was. And they also have his grave, which has a gravestone, has the sign, the sign that says "Here lies Beetlejuice."
Yeah, yeah.
And when you put the figure in it, it's like the old magic trick, you close it and then you open it, there's a wee tiny figure inside.
Oh my god, class.
And I got that boxed as well, so I have two of those, and they're coming. So I'm going to have to buy a couple of figures to put with them as well. But I think you'd be interested because the box art and everything is just so quintessentially 90s. It's gorgeous.
You know I love a good bit of box art.
I know you do. Was it Harvey Clark? Bye bye, Stephen. Always remember when you close your eyes, it's dark. That's alright, Harvey. Cheers. Good luck. Bye. Right, anyway, so we're going to wrap up. If you like what you see here, follow us on all the social medias. You'll see them all down here. Go to followingthenerd.com for all the latest news, reviews and interviews. And if you want to support the channel, please go to ftnerd.com, pick up a t-shirt or a coffee mug or something. It would really help towards all of this. And don't forget, of
there's
course,
a link in the description.
There's a link in the description. Don't forget, of course, to follow this lunatic on Vote Saxon 07. And thanks everybody in the live chats tonight. As always, I am Mark.
And I am Saxon.
And until next week, may your gods go with you. Good night.
Good night, goodbye, good luck, farewell, etc., etc. And also different stuff and things. I've lost the outro. Where's the outro? There it is there. Alright, folks, till next week. Bye-bye.